see which teams are going to have consistency across the most important maps of Erangel and Miramar 7.
See, why you had to throw that one to me? I thought you were going to say Sandhawk. I thought you were going to see Madness. I was thinking already of the hot drop that's going to be happening on Sandhawk as well. But in regards to Erangel, I mean, I kind of have to go back to what I was saying with Navi and Alpha 7. It's going to be very interesting to see how those teams are going to be playing as well. Now, on the top, Thor Severny, they're going to have to worry about Team Secret if Team Secret does decide to drop there. Yeah. Something that happened a lot to Alpha 7, especially during the West Finals, was that Alpha 7 kept getting caught off guard. They weren't really expecting for a team to still be there. Alpha 7 has been rotating very late as well, so it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to be able to adjust to that. And then we have Nova that lands in Gatka, right? If they decide to, we usually tend to see them play mostly middle circle, but let's say we end up getting some kind of crate circle, right? Yeah. And we know the Nova accuracy, we know what Paraboy is able to do, right? If those teams decide to rotate left, or if they maybe get caught in a rotation, it can be very hurtful for them. We only have 18 games. If you have one bad game, that's it's going to be compromising.
Yeah, and out of the 18 games, you only have 3 Sanhok coming in play. My one question I have, Jason, right now is Nigma Galaxy.
All right, Rauf going to be healing out in the blue?
Exactly.
The pro player.
Be very interesting to see if finally, right? Going to be fragging out, how they're going to be able to work together as well as a duo.
Yeah, well, that is why, for me, as we just talked about, why, in my particular opinion, Godlike is a team to watch here over the course of the event, especially in this first match. I want to see how they start things off, how they get things going, and on the note of Clutch God, I mean, he's in the same boat as Frozen from Next Korea. At least he was back then, right? There's so much hype around this player as an individual. Clutch God, unfortunately, didn't live up to the hype then. But speaking of hype, Max, which team are you looking out for to watch?
I mean, I already talked about Star Wars. You know, this is a team that I think could be going for that first place, getting that 1.5 mil. They just have everything ironed out to perfection. So Star Wars is going to be the one that I'm going to be supporting until the very end, and hopefully they can make it go really far. I would like to see minimum a podium finish.
Okay, so Godlike for me, Stalwart for you. 7, who do you got?
Do Brazil.
Come on.
Come on. You know I had to go with Alpha 7 for all the stuff that I've been mentioning in regards to Navi, how they're going to be adjusting. And this is a team that can definitely carry momentum. And if they can start hot, I would love to see how they're going to be able to carry that momentum.
I mean, they dominated. I mean, I think dominate is an understatement when it came to PMPL Brazil, right? They were the most formidable force coming out of that region. And in particular, you have Seta Texa, you know, he actually played back in 2019. He's here yet again on the big stage. Carrillo's back from last year, who's looking to redeem himself and obviously help take Alpha 7 to the next level. If you guys watch Between the Battlegrounds, well, if you haven't, you need to go watch it. But you get to hear about Carrillo and talking about the problems they've had within the team and him trying to help step back up for themselves. And speaking of stepping up here, we're going to step up the hotness game on the show. We're going to bring our commentators in for the first time of the day for the first 3 matches. Necro, Mustache, Dave, take it away, boys.
Hey, thank you, Jason, Maxman, and 7. Beautiful work. What an amazing day here. We got 18 games, Necro. Are you pumped up?
Oh, dude, it's not even a question. Definitely pumped up, man. I mean, the first game of the Grand Finals. Dave, we have been waiting for this moment for a long time, without a doubt.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. PubG Mobile Global Championship Grand Finals. We got the best teams and players in the world right now. Nova Esports Paraboy, Godlike Esports Jonathan, Alpha 7, Carrillo, Stalwart Esports Action. 9 teams from the East, 6 teams from the West, 1 team from India. Best of 18. It all starts now. Necro, let's get into the game.
Oh man, it all definitely starts now, and playing flat path as well, starting all the way from down south. This is going to be an interesting one, Dave. I can already tell the hotness in the military base. I can already tell it, man. Stalwart Esports, we of course know they like to drop in Nova of Doi. Now, if you talk about a lot of drop clashes coming inside the map of Erangel, I mean, the only drop clashes that I'm really going to be witnessing over here, it has to be like Navi and Alpha 7. Because of the playing flat path as well, I do want to see what kind of improvisations these teams are going to be showing.
Oh, we are talking about it. Talking about the plane path, man. All the way down here towards the south. Yeah, I agree with you. It will kind of force these teams to some uncomfortable positions that they might not be used to with their tried and true drop spots. One in particular, you talked about Navi. Look at this, kind of spread out there on that west side. They are going to have to possibly get to an early engagement, but circle number 1 Yeah, circle number 1. It can't be any better, all things considered, with this playing pack.
Oh, dude, a complete southern circle. That means teams like Stalwart Esports, they're going to be favored here big time, including Infinity and Na'Vi as well. Now, if you talk about improvisations, Na'Vi, I mean, if you've never seen them drop over there, Dave, like, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm sure they got some practice. You know, they are a world-class team, right? And I do like this position that Na'Vi are going to be holding down because of the zone. Now, if the zone would have shifted up there towards the north, where they would have to quickly loot and then rotate on out of that current spot on that west side of the military base island, I would be a little concerned. But now, I feel like they have quite the advantage because they can get that loot, and they could possibly, Necro, set up a beautiful bridge camp out there on that west bridge and possibly get some early game elim points here, which could, you know, do wonders for them.
Oh, dude, that's definitely going to be doing a lot of wonders, especially trying to hold off a team like STG that's going to be trying to make it in on the left side of the bridge. That's going to be quite interesting. Now, if you talk about rocket starts, you know, if you talk about boosters on the overall rankings, you've only got 3 days to work with, 6 games each day. And now, if you talk about booster starts, STG has to be one of those teams that are really good in those couple of initial days. But if you talk about some good things, some good shots kind of taken on himself and 4 rivals, not really looking that great for now. One man taken down quite low, and he's also getting pushed on by Steve.
Yeah, looks like we got a classic 2v1 here. 4 rivals about to lose one. Oh, make that a 3v1. Oh, I shot pulling up with that UMP. Looking to get, I believe this is the first elim of the tournament. So there we go. The match has officially started here, Necro.
The first blood, man. The first blood. Not going to be happy after that one. 4 rivals. They're definitely going to be having a little bit of sad aura on their team, but it's fine. They still have 3 players to work with them. We've seen in the past as well. Sometimes the trio can make a lot of things happen, Dave.
Yeah, and right there, the PMGC token, like Jason mentioned, we're going to hit 1 million viewers, and everybody going to be getting them nice, juicy rewards. Now, getting back to the game, we got Fenerbahce. At least one of my favorite players, the Duke Machine. We can see him out there in that buggy with that nice rotate. Action, though. Action. Going for some shots with the M4. Connecting. And keep in mind, connecting on a moving motorcycle. Action has to be one of my favorite players also from Stalwart. One of the strongest players, in my opinion. We saw them from their respected region able to get a ton of elim points and put in a ton of damage. I really like Action and Top. That duo right there is definitely a duo to keep your eye on this tournament.
But gotta say, Fenerbahce definitely got nerves of steel to pull off something like that, just to sneak past through Stalwart Esports noses like that. Oh, that's a bold move, and that's going to be paying off quite well in the future as well. And now if you talk about Stalwart Esports, man, I've got a huge history behind this team. Coming inside, you know, first time I saw them in the PMP Season 3, actually, no, scratch that. I saw them in the wild card, in the PMCO wild card playing. I was like, all right, this team has a lot of caliber. Then later on moved in the PMPO Season 3, they absolutely dominated that as well. And then even in the SA Championship, dominated that as well. And back in the day, they were known as like the Astro Academy, right? And then later on, coming inside in the future, they got signed by Stalwart Esports, and now we're here, Dave. Now we're here. They are, they're literally one of the best teams out there.
The best lobby in the world, too, right now. The top of the competition. I love how you said it. Now they're here. They legit started from the beginning. And another kind of interesting kind of note about Stalwart in particular, just looking at the East League, they were, if not one of the most consistent teams when it comes to Erangel. Now, I'm bringing that up because we only got 18 games. Okay, hear me out. We only got 18 games. Erangel makes up 50% of those games. What are your thoughts, man? Stalwart Esports, where do you see them performing here? With that in mind, with that knowledge that I just laid on you.
Now, look. Not just Stalwart Esports, there are a couple of teams that are really good. I would say pretty consistent on each and every single map. So we cannot rule out Stalwart Esports just like that. Yeah, I do understand they have one of the most like consistent rate, coming inside the grand finals as well. So I would say Stalwart Esports, they're definitely going to be one of those teams. Like at least we're seeing like top 3, man, inside the Erangel, without a doubt.
Without a doubt. I'm a true, I'm one of them dudes that I like to look at the numbers. I like to crunch them, and I like to base my opinions on these numbers. So that's why when I was looking at Erangel, and with that in mind of it being 50% of the map pool, I also had to kind of turn my eyes to the West League to look who's the most consistent over there. And there was one team that popped up as far as consistency on every single map. Erangel, Miramar, and Sanhok. Guess who that team is from the West League? Do you have a guess?
Alpha 7. Alpha 7?
Alpha 7, yes. Alpha 7 were, if not the most consistent team from the West League here. And I gotta say, 7 from the desk picked them not only because they have a 7 in their name, but 7 knows for a fact that this team is definitely going to be giving it their all here in this lobby, along with all the other squads, of course. But if I had to pick, this is where I was going with this. If I had to pick a team as well, it's going to be up there at the top. The Mustache Dave pick has to be Alpha 7.
And Dave, you also got to talk about the team from India, man. Godlike. Now, let's set some light on this. I'm pretty sure the analyst desk did a really good job on pretty much, just taking out the history for how long it has been. They haven't really, been in this kind of a competition. So, I mean, I do understand it's going to be, a huge change in the pace as well for Godlike. So, what do you think so, man? Is the adaptive nature going to kick in right now? Or is it going to be, maybe tomorrow?
So, Godlike might not have a lot of time to really, hone down, practice, get comfortable. So, I think it's not going to hurt them too much because I feel like a lot of teams have the same nerves, right, coming into today. And we can kind of see it. They're playing a little slower. They're not all just rushing to a spot, somewhat center, especially the teams up north. They're taking their time to rotate. They're just waiting to see where this next zone goes. So I think Godlike can kind of play that into their advantage, right? They know for a fact other teams are going to be playing slow, trying to get a little loose, a little comfortable. And I think day one, if I'm Godlike, I'm just looking for consistency. And what I mean by that is, constant placement points every single game with a couple elim points, right? Just get a good foothold on the overall leaderboard so that day 2 and 3, you can really run with it.
Yeah, but from what I saw in the BGIs, Dave, is that Godlike is one of those teams that is really kill hungry, right? They go for those kills. They're kind of like an aggressive team, which is understandable. But yeah, as you mentioned over here, consistency is what really matters, and you need to go for those placement points as well. Just kills points isn't going to seal it. You need those placement points as well to try and make your mark on top of the leaderboard. But yeah, we also do have the next circle shifting in, and I do really like Fenerbahce's position.
Fenerbahce, straight chilling out there. We also got Furious Gaming making the swim. S2G are going to be braving it to send it across this bridge. Nice strat. Remember earlier on, I was kind of calling for Na'Vi to possibly be able to gatekeep this bridge, but instead of gatekeeping this bridge, it looks as if Na'Vi kind of sent it down to the south of the island. So they're going to be playing this one a lot safer, trying to avoid those early skirmishes. Very interesting play, but we might have a potential fight over here on this bridge after all, because now Nova are going to be trying to drive on through here.
Oh man, they're going to be having a clear pathway for sure, because H2G as well is trying to play for their survival. We do see Solid Spew kind of closing his distance, but again, shouldn't really be that big of a threat for Nova. So for now, things are going to be looking quite calm. But as I mentioned, Fenerbahce's position definitely
dead center.
Kind of in the, they're right in the center of the zone as well. And Godlike now going for that late rotation in the southern circles. Now, if you talk about West Side, Dave, we do know Na'Vi is one of those teams that do like to go for those late rotation in these military-based circles, and it never pans out for them.
No, so we'll definitely keep tabs on them here in game number 1. I'm looking at Godlike too. We caught a glimpse of Godlike. It looks like they were trying to be a little aggressive, but that was up against A7, so we'll have to get back to that one. Looks as if both teams kind of backed off from each other for the time being. And that's kind of the story that we are seeing for a lot of these teams here early game, is that they would see each other and then try to back off. They don't want that smoke. But talking about wanting that smoke, the boat taint, the failed boat taint out there on that west side of the coast. So Na'Vi, they didn't bridge camp, but they are doing a good job at trying to pick up whatever type of elim points they can out there on that coastline.
Oh, dude, Na'Vi definitely just beaming him out the water, man. Unfortunate, the boat just blew up, and 6-8. Not going to be happy after that. Losing 2 players already inside the game. Definitely going to be having those sad faces. But yeah, Na'Vi, I do like the huge improvement that Na'Vi has shown. They're already on the military island. They're kind of looking good. Tixie all the way on the south side. A huge separation, but still, they have a lot of time to work it out. But DXavier making bold rotation out in the open, taking little shots from Nova. Nova as well, making sure that DXavier not going to be stopping by anywhere near.
It's like Nova Esports is going to be picking up a nice little compound here. 3-1 split. They got 3 squad mates out there on that west side, and then Border still kind of straggling in the back line over there. They were taking some shots at DXavier as they did casually pass by on that high ground. For the time being, though, it's all about getting these early game positions, especially with this military-based zone. And you were looking at Fenerbahce. They were somewhat dead center. Next circle is going to shift here very shortly. Let's see, will it play into their favor? Stalwart Esports, too. I like that spot all the way up there at that radio tower, the highest vantage point here. Will it pay off? We'll find out right now. Oh,
it does. It does. H2G and Fenerbahce right in the center of the zone. Fenerbahce having the majority of the center, but again, the split is good, but if even one of the players gets bought out, and even if he gets taken out, that's going to be quite a huge task for Fenerbahce to go back to that player and get the rest back up. So I feel like at this point in time, they should be a little gathered up. Maybe a 2-2 split can work out pretty well.
One out here trying to defend here on the cliff lines. Team Secret looking like they're going to pull up. So far, it's a 2-2 split, but the other 2 squad mates in the back lines trying to group up. Buy shots, though. Mini in hand, applying that pressure. Here we go. First fight, first 4v4 of the game.
Oh, here we go. A kill already found. Jumper being taken out. Instantly gets confirmed as well. Fredo has a little bit of disadvantage with that low crowning. He gets taken out as well. And now shots. Oh, he's taking some shots from the left side. He needs to watch out because Junie has a huge advantage. Also with that high crowning, shots doesn't really have a good positioning. Just has that wiggle to work with and gets blown to smithereens. Just like that now. He's been taken out of the game. And that's going to be it for Team Secret.
Wow.
Eliminated, Dave. The first team to get eliminated in the first game.
Wow. Yep. My Damwon, too. One of the teams definitely showing up here from their region, cashing out, looking to continue trucking along with that momentum. And we were looking at Godlike a couple moments ago as they were crashing out there in the distance. Looks like Alpha 7 might have caught a whiff of a squad back here. They're going to be setting their flag right now on the beaches in the terrain. They are looking to just stay back here and get these elim points. Looks like they'll be camping this one out.
Oh, they have to. Because, I mean, A7 clearly knows that they have the prime positioning inside this fight. They can just try and hold up Godlike. But that's a beautiful knockout found in the A7 involved. 4 rivals just making that rotation. They were like, all right, this is our right moment to go in. And they just sneak past through Alpha 7. Alpha 7 with that knock being found, kind of bought enough time for Godlike to make that push happen. And here we do have Clutch God as well falling down in that push.
Wow, Carrillo, what a great anchor position. They were in the back lines, pretty much playing oversight of their 3 squad mates that were pushed ahead. And it looks like it paid off. But let's see, though. Jonathan went for that wide rotate. Now he's going to be inside the smokes, looking to toss this grenade, looking to get a couple confirmed. Oh! Kaboom! Goes Jonathan right there with the double.
Oh, that's filthy. That's disgusting. Both the teams have 3 players knocked out, but unfortunately, Godlike, they're only left with 1 man standing. Same thing goes with Alpha 7. But now Jonathan gets Neo back up on his feet. That's going to be a sigh of relief for him. Godlike now. Jonathan especially looking to confirm the kill and trying to take out the final man as well. That's going to be his main goal. But guess what? The reply comes in through from the side of Carrillo. Carrillo as well is one of those players. He's one of the best out there. You can't just challenge him like that.
Yeah, Carrillo is in the back line, though. So best case scenario for Carrillo, try to avoid the sight lines and just survive at this point. They do not want to get taken out right here, right now, because a 14th position in Game 1 would net them 0 points. And that is not how Alpha 7 want to start this. But huge props to Jonathan right there. That double grenade definitely turned the tides for Godlike.
Oh, that did. That was a disgusting night, without a doubt. H2G. 7 just kind of driving off the compound, didn't realize it's already being occupied by Fenerbahce. So not interested in taking it. Fenerbahce doing a good job. Rebellion as well, trying to secure the vehicle, just making sure the tires aren't being popped off, but gets shot from the back. And here comes the push from Nextruya. There's a huge charge in, and Fenerbahce seems like they're crumbling down slowly and steadily. 2 players already being knocked out. Nextruya have 2 players knocked out as well on their side. You want to see how this fight's going to be panning out. And now it's all down to Duke and Machine.
It's up to the Dukin machine, the Dukin master with the grenade, trying to get that to that little window. Overshot it just a little bit. Does look like their teammate was able to pop into their compound, looking to get that revive. And here comes Noxbomb with the support here. Looks like the revives were successful on the next Rhea. Let's see though, Noxbomb has a lot on their plate. They need to clutch this one out.
Oh, they do need to clutch this one out, but third party from Stalwart Esports. It's Pika who takes out Noxbomb. Duke and Machine again, Rebellion. These two players are alive. Duke and Machine, we do know what this man is capable of. He can pull off some insane clutches, but again, he's kind of like that man who likes to stay as quiet as possible, but that beautiful nade is going to be taken out. Rebellion is also getting burnt down with that Molotov. That's not a good sign for Fenerbahce. Things are slipping out of their hands.
Yeah, next Rio, they were able to get the full reset over here. 4 squad mates up, pretty solid compound. This building, this area, dead center. Let's see, Duke and Machine back against the wall, getting collapsed in on right now. UMP in hand, no chance.
That drop shot.
No chance right there. Next Rio, taking that compound from Fenerbahce.
Uzi's just too good in those close range. Just an absolute shredder. That drop shot as well, just in the mix. Oh, it's just kind of like a sprinkle of salt on top of it. But yeah, now we have Nigma Galaxy, another one of those teams that I have definitely eyeing out for. Nova as well, having pretty decent positioning inside here. Hamoudi in the front lines of Nova. King and Powerboy just trying to hold him off at bay.
Really do enjoy what Nova Esports have been doing this whole game with these splits here. So now they're going to be separated for the time being. But Don1 still out here just destroying the edge right now of the play zone, hugging it. 5 elim points so far this game here. Necro, talk about starting strong. That's exactly what they are doing. And if I'm not mistaken, that's pretty much the same story that they did during the East Final Championships. They started early with a chicken dinner and 19 elim points over there in those finals. And from there, they just maintained it. So if they can get that same start here, Don1, we might be looking at a possible championship top 5 team.
Oh man, the next circle shift is going to be just such a huge thing, right? It's going to be moving out in the open. Trust me, it is, and yes, it does. And now the only teams are in. They have a couple of components on their name, but they're the only going to be the lucky ones. Don1 Gaming seems like they're just getting absolutely demolished by Na'Vi because Na'Vi has huge high ground. With the high ground, they have also gotten a huge advantage over Don1 Gaming. So Don1 Gaming, they will need to try and take care of Na'Vi if they want to make it out of this tricky situation. And for that, they will need to find another knockout. That will buy them enough time, but the nade from Tixi will keep Soul down.
They need to clear this one up quick, too, if you are Don1, because you are about to be pinched from Nova Esports from behind. So hopefully they have their head on a swivel, and they hand exercise to
how he gets ready for match.
Go back to West teams.
I want to stick to my West teams, right? I know
you guys are going to be pulling for those East teams. I'm going to be sticking to the West teams. And you know what? Let's even skip that. Let's go to Godlike. I feel like we had to talk about that. Alpha 7, they were trying to bridge camp Godlike, and it absolutely backfired.
Thanks to Jonathan. We're mentioning he is just such a great player, and he's able to clutch up when he's needed to clutch up, and he was able to do that perfectly there. Sadly, it didn't end up working out ultimately because they ended up losing before Alpha 7 went out. But overall, it's at least some elims and some points that are going to count towards
the important part, though, for me in that is that Godlike are showing they're not afraid of any team, right? They're going to go up against Alpha 7. They're going to fight against pretty much one of the best teams from the West and be able to do a decent job. And Jonathan's showing he still has an all-star power.
Yeah, they were just ready to go for the full push onto Alpha 7. That was very impressive. Jonathan able to get a somewhat clutch towards the end. He was able to get Neo back on his 2 feet, which is a really good play. But I think that, of course, this is a team that, because they don't have that international experience for a long time, the more game
one of the players, he decided to push in with a buggy. The buggy pretty much ended up going over the hill as well, and it put him in a position where he wasn't able to fight. You could see him trying to jump back in the buggy, maybe being able to shoot from the passenger seat, but nothing worked out there for Team Secret.
Yeah, but it is just match 1, and Team Secret luckily do have 2 players who have played in every single final so far yet with Ice Shots and Mad Toy, dating back to 2019. But we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. We're going to actually do a little quick recap here. I'm not sure exactly what team it's going to be, but one thing I am sure of is you two are going to kill it talking about it.
That looks looks like the Kendi, man. I feel bad. I was like, bro, there's snow on the map. What's going on right now? But no, we're going to be having a little quick recap about what's happening so far. And the team I think we're going to be focusing on, we're going to see which one are we focusing on right now.
I think it's Stalwart.
Yep. Stalwart, yeah. Okay, so their usual drop that's going to go into Novo. Of course, having that sort of Nufka finish from the very get-go made it a lot easier. You don't have to cross those bridges. No need to cross that river. You're going to have a very easy time to get there. But the one thing I love, Seven, and we talked about that extensively during that game, was how they were not willing to push that compound early on because they knew that was going to be hot waters. That was going to be super contested. Just hold the northern side, wait for the circle to close off when all the teams already took that fight, and then you go for the push towards the end to get that win.
Just their timing right here. This is the main one that I wanted to talk about. Just the way they were able to surprise 4 rivals right there, being able to execute that so well. And something that I actually wanted to talk in regards to Stalwart Esports is they ended up with 14 illums, right? When we go to their healing, they only had 14 healing, and we saw them take so many engagements. That speaks volume of their positioning. They're being able to put themselves where they want to be. They're being patient as well, but when they need to strike, they're definitely striking. So Stalwart Esports, I mean, after that one game, boy, I'm pretty sure a lot of people that are currently watching are going to have them as favorites.
So I think for me, Max, looking at this, right, obviously they dropped in the perfect position for the way the zones did shift.
Yeah.
I think what's important to notice is that, yes, they had zone, but they were able to get so many eliminations. We see so many teams be able to have zone, but they just play it super passive. But we know Stalwart is not a passive team.
But that's the thing I love so much, is that they knew exactly that that compound was held on by Next Rhea. That was super valuable at the time. They knew especially there was a lot of teams who were trying to survive in the midi area that were going to push out. You know that you're going to get third party through and through every time going for that push show. Just go for the high ground up north, get rid of Nova, which they did perfectly. The execution on that was top tier. And then just, you have the last circle. Sure, there was a little bit of circle lock on that very last circle, but they could have breached it anyways, even if the circle went away from them. So they played their position so well. This is why I love watching Stalwart play so much, because if they have an opportunity to win a game, 99% of the time, they are going to be able to convert that into a big win with big elimination points, which here they got 14. Big step up here.
And I mean, just going off base what we saw there, I really wish King from Nova Esports would have been able to take the fight. That would have distracted them. I feel like the rotation, when they lost that high ground, it put them in a horrible spot, as we were able to see there earlier. So maybe with Nova, I would like to see a little bit more aggressiveness out of them when it comes to that kind of stage. If you see them, because King was going to be able to surprise them. They had no idea that he was there. I know they were probably being a little bit worried, but when you get out, are you really going to be willing to give up that high ground and then backfire like this? I think Nova Esports is going to be able to learn a lot from that fight.
I think the play for King potentially was just get in involved. If you can get a little bit of damage, potentially knock or two, then have the rest of your team come in. But because they had the information on where King was standing and where the rest, of course, of Nova supposedly were remaining, they just went into the circle, held onto the more northern western side, and just gate-kept the rest of Nova and won that fight super easily without putting almost any effort. So Stalwart just took that easy win at the very end. It was great execution.
Yeah, you're going to be rotating pretty much to their eyesight, so might as well just take that fight. And don't put yourself in a curious situation where you're going to be losing the high ground and you're not really going to know where they're going to be shooting you at, because they're able to just pretty much pop up, hide, move around, and be able to pretty much eliminate you.
And I'm looking at Stalwart, and we always talked about Infinity when it came to East League as being one of the most consistent teams. But if you looked at the results, right, of some of these teams, we looked at Dam1, they finished first in finals, they finished 13th in league stage. Xavier finished second in finals, 14th in league stage. Stalwart finished third in finals, third in league stage. Navi second in finals, 12th in league stage.
Stalwart has been probably one of the most consistent teams we've seen across both these mini events we have in league stage, and they're showing that they
still have that consistency now going into the grand finals.
I would not even say one of the most consistent. I would say the most consistent. Again, two third positions back to back in those two stages is really insane. But hey, they started off, as I said, I talked with Senator. They're going for that first place. They want to be that first place team at the end. They want to be called the world champion, and this is a really good start to doing so here, Seven.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna be heading to a short break where we get things ready to go for our second match of the day. But don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon for some more PubG Mobile action.
I saw the first light, the first steps. Now I see much more. I capture Earth in all its beauty. I see action. I see drama. And I see it in the finest detail. Moments of inspiration and the first steps. I am the 1+9.
Welcome back, everyone. PMGC 2021 is the grand finals. We're here in Berlin. We have players from all around the world competing to be the best team in the world and to also win $1.5 million. Just imagine going home, $1.5 million. Well, not in your pocket, technically. You have to split it between your teammates, but that's a lot of money. That's a lot that you can use to invest into yourself, invest into the brand of your team, maybe throw some over to your favorite analysts and hosts. Who knows?
You're thinking about investing? I'm over here thinking about just buying some skins in the game. I really want that Scar L. It looks so sick.
I think 1.5 mil would not be enough for me to get any skin. I would just be so unlucky every time.
That does sound like your luck, to be fair. We are going on to a second match, though. It's going to be heading over to Miramar, and we've already had a little bit of a discussion while we were in the break, and a couple of teams we're looking out for here, in particular when it comes to maybe early clashes. Max, you want to go ahead and start off that topic?
I'm going to be looking at El Pozo. Of course, we had scrims and everything happening. Maybe those things changed, but I'm expecting maybe a final El Pozo between Nigma Galaxy and Alpha 7. And we know that Alpha 7, they love those hot drops because they pretty much have hot drops technically that could happen on every single map. So intrigued to see if that's going to actually happen or not, because Nigma Galaxy, early fights, not really their speciality. So I think that they might try and avoid it as much as possible.
Another one to look out for that I know it actually happened. I want to add one to that list that you're putting out is going to be Next Ria. Next Ray usually tends to land there as well. They did end up changing it because they had so many engagements with Alpha 7 and Alpha 7-1. But I wonder if at this stage, more than likely not, but you know, I am being a little bit hopeful. Maybe Next Ray will decide to land there and be like, hey guys, nice to see you again.
That would be funny, actually. But I feel like most teams want to avoid running into each other early on, especially in day one of the event. But I mean, we can see here our damage dealers from the first match, and Action and Top both of you making their way through. But as we saw, Order was the MVP. So usually, as I think it was Claris who noticed during East League, is that like even when Nova was not doing well, even in the week they didn't qualify for the Super Weekend, Paraboy was still the big standout player competing with the likes of I think it was like Newsy at the time, like of the teams who were in first place. We're seeing Order step up and taking a look at the limbs. I mean, this isn't too surprising.
Yeah, not too surprising. We're going to see Top. We're going to see Action being up there. Scry typically is not the one that's going to be getting most of those eliminations, right? He's the one that's trying to set up initially Top and Action, but he's just had apparently great opportunities every single time. So while not Strike, while
he's just like, you know what? I'm tired of you guys not talking about me. I'm going to step up. Not seeing Pika here this time, but Seven, really impressive stuff from Stalwart from Mongolia.
Definitely. I mean, just going back to what I was talking about earlier, for them to be able to get that win with the amount of engagements that they were able to have, for only have to heal up 400, that is just so impressive. I feel like it's a big understatement. I'm hoping viewers at home will be able to keep an eye on that, because that just talks about their positioning. They're being able to put themselves once again just in a great spot, making sure they win those fights and making sure some other teams kind of don't even want to fight them. Nova just decided not to fight that, and I'm still kind of scratching my head. But another team I do want to talk about is Navi. I feel like Navi played that so well. They were nowhere near their usual landing spot towards North George. They decided to drop right there on the military, and they did a beautiful 2-2 split. A beautiful 2-2 split where we were wondering, I thought at one point maybe they were going to just try to go to the bridge camp. They decided not to, but they were able to hold off a lot of teams. They were able to be opportunistic to get some elims as well. And they were able to hold off Damn Son. Damn one. There you go.
Damn son, that was good. I know. It was actually really good hold, right? Because they had such a good high ground opportunity. While also, I believe it was maybe Tixie on the lower side. It was just trying to make sure that they were pinning down the entirety of Damwon. It was good execution, but unfortunately that third party from Navi, from Nova actually, made it just a little bit more tricky at the end. But good execution still from Navi, just got a little bit too hard there.
Yeah, a little bit difficult indeed, but they still have more matches either way. And before we can really drop into our next match, I want to give a shout out to Singtel, providing PMGC with Singapore's most powerful 5G network. And speaking of that, I mean, Navi, they're going to need that powerful 5G network because they have a lot of pressure on their shoulders. I'm going to call them out in particular. Seven, every time we ever talk about Navi going into these big international events, there's always so much hype around them. We always talk about how good they are as a team. And I'm sorry to say this, but they kind of always let us down.
I 100% agree with you.
Thank God, I didn't want people hating on me.
Disagree.
No. It's just always a big hype, and something that this team definitely lacks of, and this is something that we're kind of looking at before the show started, is this is a team that it's not really able to carry momentum really big. If they get a win, they're not able to end up backing it up with another win, or maybe able to back it up with the top 5. It's always a roller coaster with them. If they do pop off, they end up popping off. But I would love to see a little bit more consistency out of them, whether it's in regards to elims, whether it's in regards to placement points. I just want to see consistency and just carrying momentum.
So would you say then for you, Na'Vi is your team to watch in this match?
100%.
Okay.
Because they were just so impressive. I was really, really surprised at the way they were able to play that last match.
Okay, so we got Na'Vi for 7 on the end. Or 7, you're not 7, you're max, man.
I'm 8.
Damn.
Yeah.
You're 8. Who's your team to watch?
I mean, okay, I kind of gave up on 4 rivals when it comes to getting potential wins. But no, they're going to do it right now. They're going to make it happen, okay? I don't know when, but I'm going to go with this game. Let's go, 4 rivals.
Well, you're brave. I went with Stalwart Esports to see if they can maintain that momentum for the first match of the day. And speaking about maintaining things, we're going to maintain our casters here live, back on the air. Mustache Dave and Necro, take us away.
Damn, son, already game number 2, dropping in hot. Necro, Dave on the mic. Miramar, what a game number 1. Necro, though, already in the Miramar match.
Oh man, here we go. The Deserty lands a Miramar, and I do want to see what's going to be happening on such a massive map already, because we talked about some drop clashes coming in El Pozo, and well, 2 of the big teams out there, man. What are your expectations, Dave?
Yeah, we're looking at El Pozo, Enigma Galaxy, A7, and then Monte Nuevo down to South next Ria. So there could be some early clashes. Not only that, Hacienda, right? Hacienda del Patron. I believe Godlike like to go there, STG like to go there.
That's a big one.
There's a lot of what ifs. I know we had practice, I know we had scrims, but the big thing is that was then, this is now. This is when everything matters. This is when it's all on the line. So with that in mind, can a team realistically afford to hot drop another team to risk the potential of getting 0 points here? That's the question up in the air.
That's what got me thinking as well, because now we also know that you don't really have a lot of games to mess around with. You cannot just try out some new strats completely and then maybe, you know, try and work things out. But no, another Southern Circle inside the map of Miramar. These are quite rare, Dave.
As rare as it gets. I'm just trying to soak it all in because we get circle number 1. There's some water in play, and yeah, this is Miramar, go figure. But up there to the north, I'm still looking. We got ST, we got 4 rivals, S2G. Like, all these squads are still hot dropping on each other essentially.
Oh man, they just don't care. They want the early smoke.
They don't care.
And well, guess what? Yep, I'm pretty sure they will probably get the early smoke, unless if Enigma Galaxy just do not want to give A7 what they want. A7, of course, is one of the most like aggressive teams out there, and they're not going to be backing out from a fight without any kind of like, you know, they would at least want some elim points on their name to start the day off. And A7, they are out for blood without a doubt. H2G for now in Hacienda del Patron, they have gotten the full control of that side, so seems like somewhere down line, Godlike has backed off from there.
Hit that subscribe, by the way. Notifications on. That's you know, guaranteed you can get it done. Shout out to all the viewers, by the way. I was watching a ton of people watching right now, a ton of people cheering for Godlike in the YouTube chat, and a ton of people cheering for Stalwart Esports. So I'm looking at this game though. You're kind of touching on it. The redemption, like Alpha 7. I called Alpha 7. 7 called Alpha 7. Last game, couple elim points. We saw them on that bridge camp on that east side. Didn't really play out in their favor. And I'm looking at Alpha 7 because I feel like game number 2 needs to be their game to really come back, I want to say. Get that momentum, those juices flowing so that they can play their confident play style that at least I'm used to seeing from them in that West League.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you talk about Alpha 7, the first thing that comes up in my mind is that aggression they show, and also the the consistency that Alpha 7 in general have, right? There's just like one of those teams that do not like to back away from the fights, but at the same time, they do manage to get decent amount of points for themselves each and every single game. So, which is quite understandable. Alpha 7, this is what they're known for. But I do want to see what exactly, like, what kind of things are going on for Godlike over here, because we did not see them in Hacienda del Patron.
Godlike, I'm not gonna lie, last game, I was extremely impressed with that grenade from Jonathan.
Oh,
Jonathan went for a nice little rotate to wrap around their teammates to kind of get that off angle, while 3 of their squad mates were in the front lines, kind of taking that fight with Alpha 7. They did an okay job, but then you had Carrillo in the back lines playing Overwatch, and Carrillo was really able to put a stop to that push over that little ledge. And so all that pressure was on Jonathan. And with all that being said, Jonathan did come out on top, in my opinion, in that very challenging situation. So Godlike, man, Godlike have a ton of people cheering for him. They're at the biggest stage right now. They got a lot to prove. They got some teammates that do have that world experience, I believe the desk was talking about. If there was kind of that wild card to disrupt the lobby, and let me get your take on this, I feel like it's Godlike, right? Godlike can be that disruption to the lobby. And the reason I'm saying that is because we had East League and we had West League. 9 teams from East League, they're playing here. 6 teams from West League, they're playing here. So those teams are kind of familiar with each other, if you get what I'm laying down. They kind of know each other's habits somewhat. So they have a big advantage when it comes to that. Who they don't know the habits of, they don't know the habits of Godlike. Yeah, you could have watched them, but you don't have that in-game experience against Godlike. So I really feel like Godlike could be that wild card factor with some of these teams.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just that one game slipping out of hands, it's fun, you can completely afford that one game. But as you mentioned, Godlike can definitely be that wild card factor. And if they are, it's going to be one of the biggest storylines without a doubt. Godlike, they dropped over here. They did not want any kind of early fight, so I do like the improvisation coming in from their side. Water treatment is where they opted to drop out. So HTG as well, early rotations. A lot of teams, they do not want to waste any kind of time. And Godlike, we are seeing them make those late game rotations happen, which is quite questionable. Most of the times they don't really work out, but maybe they have some kind of backup plan building through.
Not only that, just looking at BGIS, Godlike, they tend to favor, when they get into these skirmishes, kind of a 3-1 split where they got one of their teammates up in the front lines, really keeping that pressure on. Meanwhile, they separate their other 3 teammates to cover that one squad mate in the front line. So they got all angles pretty much covered. And I feel like that's kind of one of those new metas that we're starting to see. Alpha 7 kind of did that a little bit in the West League. It paid off big time for them. So I'm really cheering for Godlike and just their overall momentum that I have to assume they're feeling right now. They have to be pumped to be playing in this lobby. So Miramar, okay, let's get into the game. Looking at all the players, we didn't lose anybody yet. So that's a good sign for the players here. Almost, 7 minutes into the game. A lot of early rotates. Anything sticking out to Necro? Anything that Necro sees is like, oh man, what's happening there? Or is this all things, another day at the office, big chilling?
I mean, one more classic thing that I'm seeing, Navi again going for those late game rotations. This is what we're really known for. But yeah, as you were talking about that 3-1 split, now it's pretty good when it comes to that individual team fights, right? But if you get third party, now we casted the West Side, Dave, and we do know how many third parties happen in West Side. And 3-1 split, I feel like they're most vulnerable, especially when a third party happens. Especially if you have the one player separated out in the open, if he gets taken out, the rest 3 players, they're also kind of separated out from each other. And if you get third party in that situation, Dave, you're pretty much screwed.
Yeah, somewhat. And to me, it comes down to map knowledge, knowing the terrain and knowing what sight lines you might be exposed to, right? Not only that, the spacing in between your split. As long as your spacing isn't too far from each other, for example, to add to your point, if one of your teammates gets knocked down, as long as that spacing isn't too far, you should be able to get the pickup, right? If you are safe to do so, of course. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And Godlike, just watching BGIS, a lot of the fights that they were in, they were aware of the terrain. They took these nice fights when they would push out in the open, where they knew for a fact what angles were covered, which angles weren't covered. And if those angles weren't covered, they had a teammate covering it for them, if you get what I'm saying here. So Godlike, I'm telling you, I'm a big fan of Godlike. I am really happy that they made it here, and I think they could really disrupt this lobby.
Dude, I myself am a huge fan of Godlike. You know what they say, hashtag they'll say godlike, and that's what I'm going to say as well. But yeah, for now, the circle shift as well, kind of going to be moving down south again, a little bit tilted on the right side, which is completely fine. That means there is going to be a lot much more free compounds for other teams to try and take it. But yeah, now as you were also talking about the kind of like separation, you should not really be separated from each other a little too much. And I feel like for that is a perfect example has to be Stalwart Esports. I just like how they like adapt in each and every single fight, right? It's not like they don't separate a little too much in these fights. It's like they do that, but if only they have a clear knockout easy. Like if they're sure that they're going to be getting this knockout, then only they will make that huge separation happen. Unless they just try to like keep themselves separated, but not too much.
Yeah, Stalwart Esports, another prime example that we saw last game. Every time we would look at them, they either had a 2-2 split or they had a 3-1 split with action in the front line. And that reminded me a lot. We saw it, not to be too biased here, but from North America, when Coops got invited onto the Knights, that was exactly what they did. And that played out big time for him up until a certain point. But Stalwart Esports doing the same thing here with action. You got that front line gunner, the one that seals the deal. Just make sure that they stay alive. Not only that, but top always opening up these engagements for him. But talking about opening up these engagements, yeah, Nox Bomb. Dude, did you see that tracking right there? Well, that was the 1-2 dirt nap out here.
Oh, if I am the player dying right there, I'm saying, I'm yelling he's a cheater. I'm yelling. There's no way. You know, it's just that's just me if I'm playing the game.
Oh, damn, son. That's why I'm yelling. If I get taken out like that, like they were full pedal to the metal right there.
Oh, my God.
What a nice shot there. And this is Fenerbahce. Last game, we saw them. They got heated. They got crashed upon. Didn't work out in their favor. And if they would have won that fight, they would have came out big time because that compound was solid. So a lot of these teams, they're looking for that redemption, I feel like, in game number 2. All these teams are top-notch. They all have the skill. They made it here. They're here for a reason. But, of course, you don't want to get 0 points in a game. So I'm really looking for these bottom teams to perform here in this match to really get it going.
Oh, dude. Nexria, one of those teams, they won the West League, dude. Completely surprising all of us. And I do want to see now what Nexria they are going to be doing in the grand finals as well. We've been talking quite a lot about all these other teams. Nexria, one of those teams, I feel like we need to talk about them a little bit more, having players like frozen underneath your sleeves. And if I'm going to hold on to my words for now, again, Godlike being held at the bay. And this is what I really do not like. Those late rotations do not work out most of the times. And Godlike, again, being held off at bay. And this time, it's Stalwart Esports doing the same thing. But guess what? It's going to be a little third party from the side of Na'Vi. And, of course, it's a West team doing the third party.
Yeah, they're definitely going to lose one in this process. Godlike out there, but they're kind of catching a break because now Na'Vi going to be applying that pressure to Stalwart. So it is what it is, as these teams going to be up here in the north trying to outrun the blue zone, now closing in on them. Stole the kill, but the other 3 teammates of Godlike, they were able to successfully get on out of harm's way. They're still in their vehicles. They're ready to react to this next circle shift. Oh, but no, as I said, Neo. Godlike. This rotation, man, it isn't paying out in their favor right now.
Dude, late rotations, I'm telling you, it's really hard to get those down. Late rotations most of the times do not really work out, but for now, Na'Vi, they're looking pretty good. Another one of those teams that do like to rotate pretty late, but in the previous Erangel game, I did like the adaptive nature